Good evening, everyone. This is Tim Butler from Wyndham TV. As you may know, our mandatory local government elections are coming up on the 24th of October. We are live with some of Wyndham's candidates from Chaffey Ward. You may have seen these faces on flyers or posters in your area, all telling you to vote number one for them. But who do you choose? So tonight, Wyndham TV is giving you an insight into what some of these candidates are about. Feel free to type any questions you like for our candidates throughout the live stream, and we'll choose a few of them for our Q&A session coming up soon. First up tonight, each candidate will say their name, in case I've pronounced it incorrectly, which suburb they live in, and share just part of their vision for Windham. Just remember, you can find out more about our candidates by clicking on their links in this post. So let's start tonight with Preet. Preet, our audience is waiting to hear what your vision for Windham is, and you have 2 minutes, so please go ahead.
Thanks, Tim, and hello, everyone. Look, my vision for Windham is simple. I intend to bring the liberal values with a local focus into the council. So we need to inject some sense of urgency, which has been lacking, and some good decision making. Look, I've already made it very clear, like I'm not doing any preferences with anyone, which means that I'm willing to work with anyone from any affiliation, whatever background they've got, with a common agenda, which is to benefit the community and to pay it back to them. The priorities are simple. Look, I'll raise a number of issues. I'm not going to go through all of those, but I'll speak about the top three. The first one absolutely is going to be, how do we come out of this COVID, like once the pandemic finishes? What's going to be the road to recovery plan? Obviously, I'll be working with all the councillors, should I be selected, to agree on a common agenda. Secondly, would be to audit the council services. So most people think it's only about the council is only about 3 hours, roads, rates, and rubbish. However, Windham Council provides more than 160 plus services. So we just need to analyze whether those services are bringing any benefit to the society or not. Just making sure the ratepayers are getting the bang for their buck. And if the services are not bringing any benefit, like perhaps we have to revamp and divert the money somewhere else where it's going to bring some benefits back to the community. So that's very important. And thirdly, look, Tarnit is such a growing place, and Windham altogether, it's one of the fastest growing municipalities across Australia. With so much development going on, we don't want a concrete jungle at the end of the day. We have seen a lot of developers promising the world and delivering very little. I've already been working with a few estates on the issues they have. Like, these are basic issues. People still don't have parks. In a country as such, Australia, and Melbourne's been on the top of list for the most livable city for such a long time. It is pretty sad to see that people are still demanding the basic facilities. So, and look, majority of the points are going to be common across all the other candidates: broken roads, potholes, street lights, CCTV cameras. But I think what becomes really important is how you present those points in the council chamber. Do you have?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Your time is up. Sorry, Preet. I know there's a lot more to go through, of course. All right, thank you for that. If you've just joined us, we are live with some of this year's Wyndham Council candidates. Please type your questions in the comments for our Q&A coming up shortly. And now, Mahak, it is your turn. Please share your vision for Windham with us.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks everyone who's joined us. I just want to begin by saying I'm joining all of you from the lands of the Kulin Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And all our work in Windham, whether it's in advocacy or in change, has to absolutely include First Nations communities. So my name is Mahak Sheikh. I want to see a Windham that is inclusive, accessible and innovative. These are not buzzwords. By inclusive, I mean that I don't want to see anyone be left behind. For too long, we've had marginalized communities that are not brought to the table, and I want them to be at the front of the conversation now. When I say I want it to be accessible, I say that I want for location, for race, for disability, for financial status, none of that to dictate the kind of opportunities we have access to and the kind of opportunities we are afforded. And when I say I want an innovative Windham, I mean that we have heaps of talent here, and I want us to tap into that talent so that we can rejuvenate the economy, so that we don't have to go too far away to be able to have, you know, the lifestyle we want to live. And all of this I want us to do while we're responding to it in a systematic way, in a co-designed way. By systematic, I mean long-term outcomes, so long-term change, strategic planning, and co-design means that the people who are using Windham are at the center of designing those, and at the center of the leadership, but also the center of designing the system. I'm here because I really care about having a fresh, progressive and way forward for Windham, one that puts, like I said, the people who haven't been on the seat at the table, and I'm really here to shake things up. So that's all I wanted to share. I will talk more about the things I care about, the solutions I bring as we go through this conversation. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Mehek. If you've just joined us, we are live with some of this year's Wyndham Council candidates. Please type your questions in the comments for our Q&A. And next up will be Arnav. It's your turn, Arnav, and we'd love to hear your vision for Windham. You have 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Arnav Sati. I live in Thanet. My vision for Windham is basically many cultures, one community working together. And it's easier said than done. And to do it, there are actually some challenges both at council level and at ward level that needs to be, that actually needs to be catered for. At the council level, I'm pretty much advocating for increase in transparency, increase in accountability. So the dollars which are paid by ratepayers, are better optimized for the Windham community in general. And then at the ward level, we actually have got young families. The families needs open spaces, parks, they need schools. So, so basically, we actually have got issues that needs to be catered both at the council level and also at the ward level. The other part, which we all should know, which we all realize now, is council actually has moved from, the 3 R's, roads, rates, and rubbish. We actually have got private-public partnership going into a lot of survey, a lot of infrastructure which wasn't used to be there. So coming to the core values which I was talking about, accountability and transparency, that is something that really needs to be part of the next 4 years of the council, especially when we would be rebuilding Windham post-COVID. Yep, that's actually is basically my vision for Windham for next 4 years.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Arnav. If you've just joined us, we're live with some of this year's Wyndham Council candidates. Please type your questions in the comments for our Q&A, which will be coming up shortly. Our next candidate will be Marcel. Marcel, if you could please share with us your vision for Windham. You have 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Tim, and the team at Wyndham TV. Thank you for this opportunity. It's something that we're all trying to getting our message out there as much as possible. It's the first time I've had an opportunity to do something like this, so it's great. First, I'll start, when you think about your vision for Windham, it's such a broad statement. I'll start with, had the opportunity to give 50-word statement to the VEC, so I'll just read that out. A place where residents enjoy a high-quality lifestyle in a progressive community. A prosperous city where locals have access to jobs close to home and a well-planned, built environment so it can move around efficiently. An inclusive community that values its people, natural assets, business and education providers. That mostly sums up my vision for Windham. It's again, thinking about a high quality lifestyle. It's something we all espouse, something we all like to see. Windham is a progressive community. It's something that we need to be, as it's been mentioned too, one of the fastest growing municipalities in Victoria, in Australia indeed. It's not everything we are. It's not the be all and end all of Windham, but it is a big part of us because as we build and as we grow, we have challenges, and you always hear about the challenges, but there's also opportunities to get it right and to build that well-planned society, that well-planned. And when I mean well-planned, I'm not just talking about the physical infrastructure. Sometimes we talk about roads, which is very important because it went on to the next point, but it's also that social infrastructure, making sure there's enough services and services in general for the not only the newer residents, but the current residents. I mentioned jobs close to home. That's such a really important aspect of my vision because having more jobs closer to home means people aren't travelling as much. When people do travel further away from work, there's two negative connotations with that. Firstly, they're away from their families more often, but also that stress. No one wants to be stuck in traffic, spending an hour and a half driving. then there's the environment, looking after the natural environment and caring for that, which is imperative. I think we really need to be mindful of that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Marcel. If you've just joined us, we are live with some of this year's Wyndham Council candidates. Please type your questions in the comments for our Q&A coming up shortly. And now we would like to hear from Khalid. What is your vision for Wyndham, please, Khalid? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tim, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Khalid Hassan. I'm living in Hobbs Crossing, me and my family. My vision is advocating, transforming, delivering, working together to deliver a better future for Windham. So I would like also to create for multicultural society, which living side by side for peacefully, especially for those immigrants background who are newly resettling for our area, to integrate for the society and be equal to the others as well. Also, I would like to be advocates and reformers, promoting national funding for road infrastructure and investment initiatives, strengthen the Western economy, strong Western economy, supporting all small business growth and investment attraction in Melbourne's Western region, advocating to reduce council rates and supporting new reforms to protect the Windham home buyers, community and youth development, advocating for our health professionals to support needed to undertake their services to keep our community safe, especially for the lesson we learned for the coronavirus. We would like to have a strong councillor prepared to put residents first and work with all levels of government on our recovery as well. Also, I would like to get the secure funding for the kindergartens and preschools, advocating for universal access funding to early childhood and care programs, expanding and upgrading schools for our growing city and families, improving local parks and environment, advocating for better pathways parks through Windham Parks 2021 project. Also, I have a special passion for sports, so we would like to support our sports programs as well around Windham. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Khalid. If you've just joined us, we're live with some of this year's Wyndham Council candidates. Please type your questions in the comments for our Q&A coming up shortly. Next up, we have Pfas. It's your turn. We'd love to hear your vision for Windham, and you have 2 minutes. Please go ahead, Pfas.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Pfas Hassan. I not only live in Windham, but I also have a business in Werribee, and I look after the health of a vast majority of Windham residents. Look, my reason for standing for council is simple. I'm on a mission to make Windham the healthiest council in Victoria, and if for that matter, if not all of Australia. I also want to create and keep more jobs in Windham Council. There is absolutely no reason why anyone should be travelling to the city for work. So I will be offering support to small businesses to help them flourish. I also intend to make Windham one of the most livable and beautiful councils in Victoria by improving parks and recreation, and also improving our roads. So, you know, in terms of my background, I've been practicing as a chiropractor for over 11 years in practice. I've got clinics spanning different states throughout Australia. I've also completed 4 degrees. And I'm an appointed clinical supervisor for RMIT University. So I have the experience, the financial handling and people skills necessary as the most eligible candidate for this council election. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Pfas. Okay, thanks everyone for that summary of your vision for Windham. For the full vision details from each candidate, please be sure to check out their social media pages by clicking their respective links provided in the live stream post. Now it's time to present some of your community questions to the Chaffey Ward candidates. Unless the question is directly directed to a candidate, we will ask in order. So our first question will be from Matt Farrell. This one we will direct to Preet, if you could answer this one for us. Many new estates and developments advertise upcoming schools, sporting ovals, parks, etc. Yet often there seems to be very little follow through. How will you ensure these facilities are developed for the community? You have 2 minutes.
A good example is the Elements Estate, where the developer itself, there was a site sanctioned for a school, and now they're like putting in 227 dwellings on that. Places like Rothwell, there is still no park. These sort of facilities should be delivered before the residents start, or where they're actually moving in. The park should be there, like the nature should be maintained. With the growing population, there should be more schools, but like schools fall under the state government. So the council should be lobbying hard to have more state-funded schools in the area, because not everyone can afford to send their schools to the private schools, for instance. Even the public schools, they are topped up, like the max capacity. My daughter used to go to the Truganina P9 school. Like it's maxed its capacity already. They're put in like temporary shelters, so temporary classes. So the council needs to, because like they're part of the planning anyway. So when the state government sanctions the land and they're working with the developers, like the council need to lobby hard. And for someone in the council to have some bit of planning experience, like that would really benefit. I'm not saying that I've got the planning experience, but I would really like to do a course in planning should I become a councillor. So I know all those matters, what the matters of planning would be. So we can pick up the discrepancies and lobby hard with the state government. And also, like having people from diverse background makes it really easy to lobby with the state or the federal, for instance. And if you know the system, how it works, like with different levels of government, like it becomes really easy. So you can use your own networking, you can use your negotiation skills to deliver better outcomes for the city of Windham. So that's what I believe. Look, I'm really unhappy with the way some of the developers have been treating the community. As I said, like previously mentioned, they promise the world, deliver very little. It is pity that the community has to fight for the basic needs. So education is the right. So we have a right to education. There should be open spaces in the estates as well. So developers should be held accountable, and a council should seize their bonds and take on the work themselves if they fail to deliver.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Preet. We appreciate that. Our next question is regarding transport. I think we might, this one will go to Mehek. Just bear with me a moment. I've got to scroll back through these comments. There's so many coming through right now, which is great. It's about Tarneet. So Tarneet growing rapidly. Obviously, there's a lot of transport problems there. This is another question from Matt Farrell. So could you speak to that one for us, please? You have 2 minutes.
Oh, is there a specific question that you can read out?
Sorry, I wasn't specific. Tarneet is growing rapidly with a significant number of people working in Melbourne CBD pre-COVID. This car park is full by 7:30 a.m. Bear with me. And this is before all the development past Leak Roads have begun. It seems like the parking situation was severely overlooked in planning. What are you proposing to do about that?
Great. Thank you, Matt, for that question. I too experienced the 7:30 rush, or when you have to wake up at 5 o'clock, so you run to try and get yourself a parking. It is not good enough. It is not what we pay or not our rates, but not what we pay our taxes for. So I just want to start by saying I empathize with that experience. I don't really personally believe that the answer is more parking. You know, I've seen people on the ground necessarily advocate for more parking. I really do think if we have more parking, we have more cars. So to me, that's not a sustainable solution to the issue. I do think there are 2 or 3 other solutions that I would love to explore as a council. The first is how we develop these 20-minute city principles. That's an urban planning principle, but the idea behind it is that everything you need is within 20 minutes of you. So your jobs, as my fellow candidates have mentioned before, are in Windham. Your facilities are in Windham. Your education opportunities, your leadership opportunities are in Windham. So we're not all trying to pack onto the trains to try and get into the city, which is a pure sardine experience, and I've had it too multiple times. The second thing is I think we need to talk about what other mobility options are there to get to the station. For example, why are we not investing more in bike lanes so that we can all ride to the station, right? That's better for our health, that's better for the environment. I have tried to ride my bicycle from home to the station to go to work, and it doesn't work because at some point the bike lane finishes. So what am I supposed to do? That's dangerous. So I think that's an alternative mobility topic. And the second one is, or the third one I think now I'm on, is looking at public transport more strategically. So for example, if we're talking about buses, which I know is contentious on whether that's like a state issue or a local issue and who puts the stops where, all of that stuff, I think we do, however, need to look at the safety that is on the buses and how we create a sense of safety in our local public transport. In that case, like, I'm very happy to use the bus. I use the bus anyway. So I think we need to think about alternative mobility ways to use transport. So I think my time is up. That's what the bell was.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. All right, moving on to our next person. This will be Arnav. Just bear with me, Arnav. We've got quite a few questions coming in at the moment, so I want to pick one that's going to be appropriate. Give me a second. All right, sorry for the delay there. There's quite a few questions to go through. This one is from James E. Duncan. Why can't we have decent roads like over in the east? 3 lanes plus a service road, all these housing estates going up with only single lane access.
Cool. Look, from a council's or planning perspective, I think, we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And all we are trying to do is we're trying to shift the bottlenecks. So whatever, roads which got duplicated in the last 1.5 years or 2 years, all they have done is they have shifted the bottlenecks from Tharnet to somewhere in Trugnina. And the other part is, the duplication of roads, or like when the roads are getting planned to start with, there's no reason why they cannot be 2-lane roads both the sides to start with. Because if I actually take Tharnet and if I go on Sayers Road past Davis Road, again suddenly a 2-lane road or becomes a single-lane road. And in another 3 years or 4 years, we would actually be doing the same thing. We would spending the same time, time and money to duplicate the roads which would actually have been 2 lanes from the start. So from my perspective, it is utmost necessary in Tharnet to actually have 2-lane roads both the sides whenever there's actually a new development coming up. We just can't be revisiting these things every 5 or 6 minutes, complaining about the same thing over and over again. And this is just not in roads. In terms of other other planning things as well, it's like if you actually put it this way, if you actually run a scenario, you actually have got a checklist. How hard is it to actually maintain a checklist which you keep, which actually works? And you actually have that checklist running all the time when you actually when you're actually going for new development in the area. Because the way we would be 500,000 by 2040, right? Which is a lot of stress on our roads, on our schools, on our parks, on our local spaces. Put it this way, we don't even actually have sports, and indoor sports facilities in Tharnet. So going off the topic, but basically all I'm trying to say is, there's a lot of pre-planning that needs to be done. We just can't actually plan to cater for it when the problem starts appearing up. So we need proactive planning and planning to solve it, basically.
Great, thank you very much for that, Arnav. All right, our next question will go to Marcel. This one is from Mark Fully Sick. I don't think that is his real surname, but he wants to know, what's your view on Pfas, contaminant soil being stored at Windham? And I think we would add in there, what would your solution be for that?
Thank you for the question, Mark. That is a very contentious issue. Basically, to be short and blunt with that, we don't want that in Windham. Nobody wants that in Windham. There is, especially the site that was earmarked for it, it was a site that was very close to the Werribee River. And nobody wants these sort of contaminants that leach into the river. I mean, the environmental disaster that can cause is something we just don't want to see. We understand that it has to go somewhere, but we think, maybe there might be a more viable site. I think the state government needs to look at other options. It's something that we don't want in our backyard, full stop. It's something we definitely do not want, in an environmentally sensitive area. So it's something that the state government, I think, is going to have to listen to the Wyndham residents. When Wyndham residents rise up, when they speak, you know, they will be heard. This is not something that we will accept in our backyard. It's just plain and simple. I can't add more on that one. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Marcel. Appreciate that. Okay, so our next question, just getting that one. This one will be directed to you, Khalid, so you will be up next. So Khalid, what are the candidates going to advocate for, or yourself, after the current Western Roads project is completed?
Yes. Say again, please. Yeah, can you hear me?
Let me just get that one for you. Okay, this question is from Paul Walton. He's wanting to know, what are you going to advocate for after the current Western Roads project is completed? What are you advocating for?
Yeah, I would like to advocate for to improve for other roads too, to reduce for the traffic congestion in the early morning and rush and afternoon as well, so people can have safer road where they can travel, whether they're going for work or they're going to school or they're going for their own business. And that is one of the very difficult issues we have in our Windham City Council. So I would like to advocate to get more funding to improve all our roads, to make secure and safe, and also to get better planning for future roads as well. So we don't have to repeat the same mistake we did previous roads, because all our city council put more houses and small roads. So we would like to balance for that. The growth our nation in the future coming, so people can have lives and life become easier. So that is the plan I was advocating if I've been elected. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Khalid. Appreciate that. Now, next up, we have a question for Pfas. This one is from Cherie Barber. She wants to know, how will you educate the community about the level of power and voice they actually have beyond the election promises?
Hi, Cherie. I think I'm hoping this is a Cherie. I think it is. Anyway, so hey, Cherie, thanks for the question and thanks for joining us. Look, you know, I take the word doctor quite seriously. In Latin, the word doctor means teacher. So I use that in my profession. And if I'm elected as a councillor, I'll obviously use that as an example of a councillor as well. So, you know, as councillors, we are here to teach the community and to teach them how to, you know, interact with their councillors, interact with the council. And, you know, the biggest, strongest voice is the people itself who are voting these councillors in. And the biggest voice of all is Wyndham residents together as a team. So I see it as a team effort, and you know, there's different ways of educating local residents on you know, the power they have together collectively as a team to get the job done and to get what they need out of their councillors and out of their council. I don't know if that answers your question. Would you mind just repeating the question for me again? I just want to make sure I answer this really well.
Yes, one moment for us. We're just going to get that question up again. It was, how will you educate the community about the level of power and voice they actually have beyond the election promises? Yeah.
So, like I said, it's all about teaching the local community. And this, you know, I mean, there's so many forums. There's Facebook. There's you know, newspaper, things like Star Weekly. There's so many mediums nowadays. You know, we're sport for choice as to how we communicate with residents. So it's a great time to live in, great time to be a teacher as a councillor and teach your local community how to voice their concerns and how to have the power. Ultimately, the whole power rests with the community. We're here to listen to everyone's concerns and exercise, you know, the right thing by them. So, so I hope that answers your question, Cherie.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Pfas.
Pleasure.
And thank you very much, candidates, for your responses. And for those watching right now, we hope that this is assisting you in your decision making for the upcoming elections. Let's move on. Our next segment will give the candidates the opportunity to inform us of their plans to support a greener, more sustainable living environment in Windham. We're going to start this segment with Preet, and this one is a lot shorter. This will be 1 minute per person. And go ahead, Preet.
Thanks, Father. Look, I already did a video on the environmental conservation. Look, it's very important, and it's got to start from the basic level. If people want to know, like they can watch that video that's available on my page. One of the things we can do is how we can better utilize the tip facilities, like whether we can bring in much innovation over there to recycle the material. Most people would know, look, if the lid is on the bottle, like the recycling companies, they won't accept that. If we can have some sort of facility there, like maybe we can cut the bottle in half and those sort of bottles can be used as recyclable material, that would be really good for the city of Windham. Basically, like utilizing those resources, like which have been chucked in the tip, how we can manage those properly and save the environment, because the tip is a big concern. And also the education about the environment should start early. Like we may start some programs in the kindergartens, have some more resources, literature available in the libraries where people can go and access these readily available resources. Look, it becomes a collective responsibility. Windham Council is already doing a lot, I believe, like in terms of environmental conservation, how we can better utilize or dispose of like household waste as well. But obviously there are more opportunities.
Thank you very much for that, Preet. Sorry, your minute is up. Okay, let's move on to Mehek. If you could please share with us your vision for a greener Windham.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Look, as a young person, I am incredibly concerned about our future and how we look after the place we call home. There's a lot for us to do with environmental sustainability and, the goals that we've already set, but how do we fast track it? So I can really, I'm constantly thinking about how can we be innovative in fast tracking our sustainability. So the first thing I want to mention is, a circular economy starts with avoiding consumption of damaging goods and services, and then you go into reducing, reusing, recycling. Some of the stuff that's been happening, in our families, we need to bring that message home and the importance of it, and then we start to scale for impact. So I think this is the direction we move towards. So how do I propose a circular economy? I think it starts with culturally accessible community awareness programs that actually are relevant, that people understand, which then means we have an improved disposal program where we know where our plastics are going, where our food waste is going. Then we have Wyndham City fast tracking its sort of sustainability goals because people are disposing of things correctly. And then I think we have this disposal facility that can really be transformed into green and cleaner energy. We've seen Scandinavian countries do this. Why can't we?
Thank you so much, Mehek. Sorry, the time does run out very quickly, and I appreciate there's a short time to get a lot of information in. Let's move on to Arnav. If you could please share your vision for a greener Windham to the community, please.
Yep. Look, there's actually a necessity basically to go green and to go a bit more greener. And from that perspective, it needs to be simple change in our habits, right? So it needs to be at the individual level or at the family level, that simple change to our habits actually makes a lot of difference, and we need to start from there. From my approach on this thing would be, bottoms up. What I mean by that is, things as like, avoid using plastics, like wherever we can actually avoid using plastic, we should be doing, opt for solar home program, right? That actually, helps it. Use products which are actually eco-label products, right? So it actually, things on those lines. We need to plant more trees, we need to save energy. So from my perspective, in order to go, go a bit more greener, we need to have a change in our habits, and those habits needs to be based on programs or things on those lines facilitated by the council, but it needs to touch the normal resident of Windham. Till the time that doesn't happen, it will all be fluff, if I can say so.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Arnav. Appreciate that. And next we have Marcel. Could you please share your vision for a greener Windham? You have 1 minute as well.
Thank you, Tim. Well, when we're talking about a sustainable environment, is something that's a very broad subject. Some of the things have already been touched on: recycling, and especially reducing our consumption. Mahek and Anna both mentioned that reducing our consumption in the first place is one of the key things we need to do. And as a council, I suppose, council could run education programs and try and encourage that in the community. So I'll touch, I suppose, in the brief time I have, I suppose, a more greener community. And I think what we need to do, what is really important as our area grows, is we retain as much natural environment as possible. I know it's difficult, the area's getting chewed up for development, houses are getting built, but as they're getting built on smaller house blocks and we're pouring more concrete, we need to keep as much of that natural grasslands and natural environment that really, looks after and keeps the ecosystems that are alive that we have in our area. That, I think, is some of the most important things to do. We need more green. We need to keep, as I mentioned, as we pour more concrete, we trap the heat in the ground, which brings on what's called the heat island effect. This stuff has a flow-on effect with temperature, with the rising temperature levels. I think we need to. It's great seeing, the wetlands being built in these new developments that have come along.
Thank you, Marcel. Unfortunately, we've run out of time again. So sorry to do this to you guys. All right, so next up we have Khalid. If you could please share with us your vision for a greener Windham.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think a lot of people cover it, a lot of issues. What I would like to add was to have greener was to plant native grasses and trees belongs to the Australian environment. We've seen the trees, we've used these trees, some of them are imported from outside, and that have negative impact to the health system and created for, especially for hay fever season, people are start sneezing. So we would like to use save trees for the environment. Also, we would like to divert all the waste from landfill as well, and to opposite. We don't want to put the waste and bring for our backyard or closer to the where the people live. Also, what I would like to add was to advocate to use more cycling as well, to reduce carbon dioxide for the cars, to reduce the cars. People can have safe streets where they can travel and bike as well. To reduce.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Sorry, we've had to cut you off as well with only 1 minute. It's very tight. But our next candidate, Pfas, if you could share with us your vision for a greener Windham as well.
Yep. Trees, and more trees. So look, I'll be advocating for more trees to be planted in Tarneit and Truganina. This will provide a more sustainable and nice environment for the growing families that we have in the area. Planting of trees will be encouraged by developers as well. Look, I've got a practice out in the east. I've got a clinic out here, and every time I drive in to the east, it's beautiful. You've got trees everywhere. It's a beautiful environment. It's not just a concrete jungle, and it's part of the planning process here in the east. I'm in my clinic right now, and across the road, they're doing up the train station. So we've received notification that they will be how many trees they will be cutting down, but how many trees they'll be replacing the station with. So they're actually planting trees as they cut trees down. So this needs to be made part of the process in our council. It shouldn't just be a concrete jungle. It should be a beautiful place to live. And also encouraging more solar panels fitted as standard across the board. Grants given to homes to fit them, but also for encouraging businesses to have solar panels, because ultimately it all comes back to being green and sustainable.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Pfas. And some great points there from everybody. We are getting to close to 9 o'clock. We're running out of time, so we won't be able to go through the group discussion that we did have planned, but that's okay. What we'll do now is we'll move on to why vote for me. So in this section here, basically you'll have about 30 seconds each. We want you to just tell everybody, what's your point of difference? Why would we vote for you as opposed to anybody else? We'll start off again with Preet. If you could please, what we'll do is we'll unmute everybody. This is a very we're going to trust everybody here. So Preet will speak first, but we will, after the 30 seconds, we will just mute you and then we'll move on to the next person. I'll say who the next person is. So Preet, if we could just start with you.
Thank you. Well, as I said before, look, I will bring liberal values with a local focus to the council should I be given an opportunity. I've got the drive, I've got the intent, I've got the passion, I've got the skills. I'm masters in accounting. I can review those complex statements and the documents. I've got the knowledge. I've got the leadership skills. I've been working at a bank in a leadership role for many, many years. So I bring all those skills on the table. And one of the things, like with my preference deals, is making it really open ticket is to ensure that I can work with anyone. And there is no hesitation in working with people, even from the Labour Party. Like if any of the members of the Labour Party join the council, I'll be happily working with them, like on a.
Preet, sorry about that, Preet. Your minute is up. 30 seconds, sorry. And we're going to move on to Mehek.
Thank you, Tim. Look, I just want to finish up by saying that I think I bring a really fresh, progressive lens. I bring a systematic approach to the social and economic environmental issues that we face. And I really hope that, we see youth and women's voices represented in a council that hasn't had it before in the same way. And thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much for that, Mehek. And we'll move on to Arnev.
Look,
go ahead.
Yep. What I'll say is I'm actually a consistent advocate on local issues for a good time now. I'm not one of the seasonal candidates who will come before the elections and disappear after elections. I've been constantly advocating on roads, rates, and transport, and would continue to do so even beyond November. But if I'm actually in the council on the other side of the fence, I would actually achieve better outcomes for the community, and that's exactly why I'm standing. Thank you.
Fantastic. Appreciate that, Arnev. Thank you so much. And our next one will be Marcel. If you could please let us know why we would vote for you.
Thank you, Tim. If anyone would head over to my Facebook page, I've seen my campaigns mostly been focused around what I've done in the area. I think people keep asking, what have these people done? What have these people done? One thing anyone can see if they look at, just have one look at my Facebook page, have a look at anyone that knows me knows that I've been a tireless worker for this community and I can get things done. I will get things done. I have worked for this community as a community volunteer, as a community leader. I've led the way. I've always pushed programs. I can work with other people. I can work with different aspects and different parts of the city. So that is why I would recommend and hope you would consider voting for me when you do cast your ballot.
Thanks so much, Marcel. We appreciate that. And we will now move on to Khalid. If you could please let us know in 30 seconds what's your point of difference and why we would vote for you.
Yeah, and why? I will be available and accountable to the residents and accessible as well. So ensure all residents are better supported when dealing with council department with integrity and hard work. I will deliver that what really matters to them. Also, I would like to transform and deliver and working together to Windham. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Khalid. And last but not least, Pfas, could you please share with us why we would vote for you?
Yeah, look, I'm the most qualified, the most professional candidate to be running for council. Whoever you vote for, you're stuck with this person for 4 years. So make sure you vote for someone who's got the experience and the ability to handle finances and also to handle people. This election, you're spoiled for choice when it comes to choosing a candidate. So make sure you choose wisely. Opportunities like this don't come often. As a businessman, I know how to handle money. As a doctor, I know how to deal with people. And most importantly, I care about people. I've got the experience, the financial handling and people skills necessary as the most eligible candidate for this election. Thank you.
Fantastic. You caught me off guard there, Pfas. Okay, so that concludes our live stream event for this evening. Thanks to all our candidates for participating and thanks to all of our viewers and your ongoing support for Wyndham TV. Just remember, this is only a snapshot of what your candidates are about. Please be sure to refer to their social media pages for more information and questions. You can find their links in this post. And don't forget to join us tomorrow night at 8 p.m. as we present to you Harrison Ward.
Thank you so much, all.
Thank you. Thank you, team.
Thank you.